Hi, I'm Dr. Brent with the Family Chiropractic Centre in Guelph, and today we're going to be talking about sleep, how you can get a better sleep every night of the week. And I know sleep's super important to your capacity to heal, so I'm going to go through sleep posture, what kind of pillow, what kind of mattress you should have. We'll talk about sleep hygiene. I'll talk about the 5 phases of sleep and the importance of them. We'll talk about things you shouldn't do or eat or drink before you go to bed and why. I'm also going to talk about sleep timing so you can get to a good rhythm with your sleep. So sleep posture is the first thing. Patients ask me all the time about how I should sleep. So obviously there's belly back and side. So belly sleeping is just no good for anyone. If you're on your tummy, even if there's no pillow, your head's to the side, and if there's a pillow, you're pinching the nerves in your neck. So if you've ever woken up with a stiff neck after sleeping poorly, sleeping in your belly would for sure do that. The other thing is people sleep on their tummy. Often they'll kick the leg up, which is typical. We call that the figure 4, where they do something like this. It's a disaster for your pelvis because it twists your pelvis, it rotates your lower back, pinches the nerves there, so that creates problems too. So a lot of times I try to troubleshoot helping patients get into better sleep postures. So ideally, back or side is the best. So if you're going to sleep on your side, it's important that you keep your neck neutral. So you want a pillow that's stable and fitted. So what we recommend is a pillow. This one's called a Therapeutica. This is, in my mind, the best pillow that you can get because it's in 5 different sizes. So this is an average size. If I'm sleeping on my back, you can see there's a little tab that fits under my neck and it's going to hold my head in a neutral position. And then if I roll on my side, if I'm a side sleeper, this width is exactly based on my shoulder width. So there's obviously different sizes for kids or women or big football players or truck drivers, but it's going to keep my neck neutral so I'm not sleeping on my side. So a stable and fitted pillow isn't going to allow this to happen or this to happen, or if you're on your back, this to happen. So it's much more important how you wake up in a pillow than how you go to sleep. So if you go to sleep on a big fluffy pillow, often you'll have those, or a gel pillow, those large pillows that you often get at a hotel, feel great to go to sleep on, but you wake up stiff and achy, so that's not great. So a stable and fitted pillow is going to help you stay balanced, keep your nerve system clear, and help you heal while you sleep. I often get asked about mattresses. So the traditional box spring and coil mattress combination typically is the best. Obviously after a long time you would need to replace that. The problem is those mattresses used to be able to flip every 3 to 6 months, which is perfect, so they maintain their integrity. Something called a pillow top mattress is very common. A lot of people have them. It's a good sales gimmick to say it's a pillow top, but it's just a conventional mattress. Even if it's very good and very expensive, people are like, oh, I spent so much money on this. It's often covered in some relatively cheap foam, which feels great to sleep on for the first couple months, but then it sags down. And for a guest bed, it's probably fine because it's not being slept on all the time. But if you're sleeping on it all the time, it gets pushed down and you get what's called a body impression. So you'll know when you get up, if you take the sheets off, you'll see a bit of a divot in there. And that divot, if you're sleeping on it, especially if you're on your side and you're sleeping like this, your spine, your lower back's all misaligned all night long. And so I realized this was the issue because patients would come in and get regular adjusting, but they go home and sleep on their mattress and they would wake up with lower back pain in particular. So it's important to get a mattress, like a pillow top mattress. If you're a back sleeper, you can kind of flex your back a little bit. It's not the end of the world. But if you're a belly or side sleeper, it's a disaster. So you need to get a stable alignment while you're sleeping. So I usually recommend that a pillow top's not good because the best thing you can do is rotate it so that your partner's sleeping in your pocket and you're sleeping in theirs, which doesn't solve anything. So the mattress I recommend, if you're going to sleep on your side, you need either a conventional solid just coil mattress, pocket springs, whatever is great, just no pillow top, or you can get a foam mattress. So the Tempur-Pedic mattresses are good. There's also Endy, Casper, and Douglas. Those last 3 you can order online. They'll ship it right to your door. It comes in a really heavy small box, but you open it up and they kind of expand right there. And if you don't like it, I think most of those companies give you 3 months to try it out, and then we'll just come to your house and pick it up if you don't like it. The other thing, if you're going to be side sleeping on one of those mattresses, I'm going to recommend, especially if you're traditionally a belly sleeper, that you get a body pillow. That's kind of my hack because otherwise I'm typically a belly sleeper. Not good for a chiropractor to be a belly sleeper. But you get a body pillow, and what you do, it's perfect. It stops you from rolling on your tummy in the middle of the night. Just hug the body pillow, and the top of it can be here so it's not like in your face. Using a pillow like this, so you're on your side, and so you're stable like this with your neck, and then you put the rest of the body pillow between your knees, between your ankles, And you can move over from side to side as you need to, but that's going to keep your spine in alignment, it's keep your neck alignment while you sleep. So that handles your sleep posture, your mattress, and your pillow. So sleep hygiene is also important. So what I mean by sleep hygiene is you taking responsibility for the environment that you're sleeping in. It should be cool, it should be dark, and it should be quiet. So science has shown that if you're sleeping in a cool room, you're going to have a deeper sleep. We'll talk about why deep sleep is important in a minute. So you can imagine sometimes when it's been too hot, some of you, maybe in the summer, you didn't have air conditioning, it's just too hot to go to sleep. It's because your body doesn't sleep well when it's cool. Obviously, it has to be dark. People who've worked shift work, you know what that's all about. So if you can darken the room somehow, if you can't darken the room, put a blindfold or some way that you can cover your eyes so that you can get the sleep that you need. It should for sure be quiet. And don't go to sleep with music on, that sort of thing. White noise is good though. Running a bathroom fan, that sort of thing would be good. So cool, dark, and quiet for sleep hygiene. For phases of sleep, there's 5 phases of sleep. So there's REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. That's kind of the dream sleep. And there's stage 1, 2, 3, and stage 4 is your deep sleep. And so those two extremes, the REM sleep and the deep sleep, are both crucial. In the REM sleep, that's where you have the mental recovery. So it's where you do your dreaming. It's a very, very light sleep. If you woke up out of that, you might even argue that you hadn't even been asleep yet, because that's what you typically start off in the REM sleep. And that's where you have your mental recovery. That's where the mental, emotional stress of the day get worked through. So it's very important to have REM sleep. And then you'll start off with REM sleep, and then you'll cycle into stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. And stage 4, which is your deep sleep, that's where you're physically going to recover. That's where you're going to secrete the highest amount of growth hormone through the entire day. And that's when you need that for your physical healing. And then you'll cycle back up to REM sleep, and then you'll go down to stage 1, 2, 3, 4, deep sleep. And you'll cycle through that depending on how long you sleep. Once you've had enough deep sleep, or restorative sleep it's called, then you're just going to come into the light sleep and kind of do REM sleep until you wake up. Now, that's what a normal sleep cycle looks like. And if you've ever been woken up out of a really deep sleep, you're probably in that deep phase 4 sleep, and it takes a while to get your bearings because it is such a deep sleep. Some things that you want to not do before bed to ensure that you wake up in a good state. So the first thing is you want to stop using your electronics, your phone, laptop, devices about an hour before bed, especially if you have the blue light. Now there's apps you can get to change the light so it's like a red light back, which is probably better. But if you are using your device within an hour of bed, it's going to shut down your melatonin secretion, which is important for sleep, by about 60%, and it'll still take 3 hours for that to get secreted. So just being on your device an hour before bed is not going to be good. Food, I wouldn't recommend eating within 3 hours of going to bed. It's not going to give you a good sleep. It's going to mess up your sleep cycles. Medications that you take can often mess up your sleep, especially if you're taking sleeping pills. It's not going to give you REM sleep or deep sleep. It'll knock you out, but you're not going to have either of those extremes. So we're going to look at part of the reason I'm doing this video so we can help you get a good night's sleep taking less medication. Caffeine is really important to a limit before you go to bed, because caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours. And that it takes about 12 to 14 hours for it to fully get out of your body. So let's say you have a coffee with dinner, let's say. And it's still, let's say you have a full coffee, like a venti coffee or whatever, that's a venti Starbucks, and you have it at 6. By midnight, let's say it would have been midnight, half of it's still in your body, which would be like having no coffee, and just before you go to bed, having half of that venti before you go to bed. And that's going to mess up your sleep. What it does, it's going to stop you from having the deep sleep that you need. So caffeine messes up your deep sleep. Not good. You need that for your physical healing, recovery, growth hormone secretion. Alcohol, same sort of thing, but alcohol affects your REM sleep. It affects your dream sleep. So if you've ever had too much alcohol, I know you've never, but if you did, and you woke up hungover, part of that is from the dehydration of the alcohol. You know, they tell you to have a glass of water for every glass of wine or whatever. But it also means that through the night, you haven't had the mental recovery that you should have by having your REM sleep. So just be aware that that's something to focus on. So having a little toddy before you go to bed may not end up it might help you fall asleep, but you might not wake up rested. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you're waking up rested and refreshed to start your day. Sleep timing is also super important. Going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time is crucial. your body gets into a biorhythm. It knows that sleep is coming, so there's less anxiety. I don't know if you've ever had a poor night's sleep and had anxiety the next day. Understand that's completely normal. So anxiety when you have low blood sugar or anxiety when you haven't slept well is completely normal. Your body won't be anxious if it knows that it's going to get food and knows that it's going to get sleep. So eating at the same time of day for sure is important, but also going to sleep at the same time. The key here is going to bed and getting up at the same time on the weekend as you do through the week. Why that's important is because it keeps you in that normal rhythm. Now the trick is, let's say you have a good night with your friends, you stay up, you're chatting and stuff, you're up a little bit later, you can't sleep in. So you go to bed too late, you're not going to have a good night's sleep tonight. Maybe instead of your 6 to 8 hours, you're going to have 4 or 5, whatever. You need to get up at the same time on a Saturday, on a Sunday. And the reason why is because by the time it's time to go to sleep at your normal time, you'll have enough of what's called sleep pressure that you're going to fall asleep like you normally would. The problem is if you have a late night and you sleep in, then let's say you sleep in 3 or 4 hours, then by the time it's your normal bedtime and you try to go to sleep, you don't have enough of this sleep pressure, so your body's not ready to go to sleep. So you go to bed late and the cascade kind of goes forward. Then now you're sleeping in again, or let's say worst case, you go to bed late, now you're forcing yourself to get up early to go to work and you're exhausted. So the key is on the weekend to get up at the same time regardless of when you go to bed. In a perfect world, you go to bed at the same time, but obviously you don't want to be antisocial either. So understanding that is crucial. Of course you're going to sleep better if you're well adjusted. All my patients know the days they get adjusted, they sleep better that night. It's because a balanced nervous system is crucial to a good night's sleep. So hopefully that helped. Leave comments in the section if there's other videos you'd like me to do. If you haven't yet subscribed, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. I'm Dr. Brent. Make it a great day.